How many users you have, subscribers in your Telegram channel?
About 50,000 or so.
Wow.
Yeah. In trading, it's usually these unexpected scenarios that have the most major impact.
Yeah.
Right?
You need to be adaptive.
I'll say that the robots are good at risk management because they have no emotions, but the humans are the one they are better at dealing with like new situations, creative.
So would you say risk management is very important in trading?
Oh, I mean definitely, right? Because if for a trader, I would say is other than psychology, right? Risk management is probably the next most important thing.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show, Control Your Drive. In the last episode, we went into detail talking about the FBS trading tools with our specialists, and it was really insightful.
In this high-performance car, I think about cars help people in achieving certain things. It's like they are superior in helping us, and there are a lot of similar things in car and in the trading app. The fuel indicator, it reminds me of a margin call function, because if you're low on the fuel in the car, you need to refuel, or otherwise you will get stuck at the middle of your journey, and that's definitely not a thing you want.
Today's episode is about trading strategies. We're going to have a trading guru who's going to come in to explain to us about all the trading strategies, which I'm sure everyone is excited about it. I myself too. So I'm going to pick him up now. Let's go. I have our special guest, our trading specialist, Spencer Lee. Can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Andrew, for having me here. Right. So first off, congratulations, right, on your nice new.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So for me, my name is Spencer Lee. Right. I'm the founder of Celebs Trading, based in Singapore. Right. And I have over 15 years of trading and investing experience. So for me, I was quite lucky, right, to discover the formula of trading early on in my career. Actually allowed me to retire in my 20s.
Wow, your 20s.
Yeah. So
life, my dream.
So I'm quite grateful, right, for to have discovered that, and then since then, I've been traveling around the world, right? Been to more than 70 countries.
Wow.
Yeah. So trading is really my passion, right? And I also hope to teach and inspire like other people how to do the same. As for the more like technical aspects, right, my specialization is in the swing trading and price action.
Okay.
And also I've been actively blogging for more than 15 years, right? So I have quite a large following on my website.
Your blog is about?
It's about basically it's a compilation of everything that I've learned about trading, investing.
So it's a trading blog.
Yeah, it's a trading about financial markets.
I see.
And at the same time, I also run one of the largest Telegram channels on trading, right? So just to provide like free information to get people interested in trading and investing.
Oh, how many users you have, subscribers in your Telegram channel?
About 50,000 or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean it's been quite a while since we've been building up, right? And also because I think there's more and more people that are getting interested, in trading, right, around the world.
Definitely. Is it risky trading, in your opinion? Of course, it's funny I asked trading analysis, but what do you think?
So if you look at, if we look at the idea of risk, right? What is risk, right? In the first place, right? Because, would you consider driving something that's risky?
It's necessary. There is risk, but it's not risky.
If we look at like road accidents, right? It's just a very, very, very small percentage, right? And usually it's those people who don't do it, they're not driving well, or they're drunk or what, right? So typically, for most drivers, right, it is not a risky, wouldn't consider it a risky thing, right? Because once you are familiar with driving and you drive for many years, right, you become more and more confident, and you don't really see it as risky anymore, right? So I'll say the same thing applies for trading, right? If you're just totally new, then obviously it'll be risky, right? But as you increase your skill then it becomes like, not so risky anymore.
Okay.
Right. So I would say it's not so much that it's the activity itself that is risky, but it's really like the level of competency of the driver or the trader that makes it risky or safe.
You need to practice, learn the strategies.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the more you practice, the better you get, right? Then the less risk there's going to be.
So would you say risk management is very important in trading?
Oh, I mean, definitely, right? Because if for a trader, I would say is other than psychology, right? Risk management is probably the next most important thing, because I would say for new traders, right, they tend to focus a lot on like
technical analysis,
strategies, the methods, but they don't realize that at the professional level, what is most important is the risk management.
Risk management.
Yeah. So I'll say that's what probably separates the retail traders from the professional traders,
or the unprofitable trader with the profitable
traders.
That
is true. So so by learning good risk management, you can become
profitable.
Yeah, profitable. You can be as good as the professionals, right? At least take one step in the right direction.
Can you give us some strategies, being the guru and Sifu?
So I would say that risk management is not something that has to be very complex, right? If you think about it, risk management is just trying to limit the amount that you lose like each trade, right? So that you can play, you can trade, you can make many trades, right, without losing your money, right? Because if you just bet everything on one trade, right, and then if you lose, that's it, right?
Yeah.
So ideally you want to split your money or your capital into many pieces, right, so that you can bet many times.
I see.
Right, so the idea is really just to limit, right, the amount that you are betting each time, right? And so an important concept will be the stop loss, right? You place a stop loss so that you limit the amount that you're going to risk, right?
So Spencer, you have been trading for 15 years, right? There's so many indicators in trading. Which one would you recommend?
So that's a question that I get a lot, right? And I think that a lot of people tend to want to know, like, also, is there like one best indicator? Is there like a holy grail, or how do they decide, right, from all the different indicators, right? How do they build their strategy? So for me, I feel that you don't necessarily have to have every single tool or indicator, right? And there's also no best indicator, right? Because if you look at it from like a toolbox approach, right? In your toolbox you can have like a hammer and a screwdriver, right? And each has its own function, right? So you wouldn't use a hammer to try to screw your screws, right? Because that will be not useful, right?
Yeah.
So in a sense you can't compare like different tools, because every tool is useful, right, if you use it the right way.
Okay.
Right. So when you are trying to craft a trading strategy or a system, right, you need to pick different tools that gel together, right, to form that each serves its purpose, and together they have the synergy that helps you make your trading decisions.
Okay.
Right. So for example, maybe you might have like trend. If you want something that tells you the trend, right, you could have like
when it's trending bullish, for example.
So like what would you use for, like, say trend indicators, or what have you heard of?
Maybe oscillators to know whether is it overbought or oversold.
Okay, so I think for me, I'll say, like, for trend, the more common ones, right, would be like your moving average, your MACD, right, and just to look at the general trend, right, and then oscillators will actually fall into its own class, right, which is more like tells you how, are they in the higher range or in the lower range, right? So these are two common types of indicators, and then you have your breadth indicators, right, which looks at the bigger, the overall market, right? So these are like different types of indicators, and typically you want to pick like one of each, right, so that they don't like overlap. Yeah, so so instead of having like 10 different trend indicators, right, it makes more sense, if you have, say, one trend indicator, one oscillator, one breadth indicator, one volume indicator, right, so that together each of them serves its purpose, right, and provides a synergy, right, for your your overall trading strategy, right? So that's how you can combine, right, different tools, different indicators, right, to give you a comprehensive, cohesive trading strategy.
So maybe can you give like one example, like if it's in the bullish trend, okay, what trend indicator can we use? What oscillator indicator can we use? Would you just a simple recommendation for the newcomers?
Say if the market is in an uptrend, right? So that if the market is strongly trending, that's actually one of the easier markets to trade, right? Because typically markets only trend about 20% of the time, right? And the rest of the time they are like sideways or irregular movements, right? So if you're lucky to get that strong 20% trending, right, then you should definitely take
how to monetize
advantage
right,
of it.
Yeah.
So for example, if you have a strong trending market, you could use simple tool like say a trend line, right, or a moving average, right, and then you wait for the price to pull back.
So there's a lot of different style, right, that you can trade. The intraday, you day trade, or the swing trade. Can you explain more into that, Spencer?
Oh yeah, so I think the trading style is something that is quite people tend to overlook as well, right? Because picking the right trading style that suits your personality is also an important part of trading, right? Because if you pick a style that doesn't suit, then you'll find that it's quite unnatural, right? Because not every style is suited for everyone, right? So for example, some people, if you pick a style that doesn't suit your personality, then it can be quite hard for you to follow, right? So even if someone is able to get success with that particular style or strategy, it may not necessarily mean that you can just replicate it or copy it, because it may not suit your personality, right? So what are the different types, right? So like intraday would be the very short term kind of trading where you go in and out within the same day, right? So that's why it's called intraday, right? So those are typically done by like professionals or people with more experience, because it is very fast paced, right? And I think typically the shorter the time frame, right, the more skill is required, right? So intraday would be at the top, right, where you have to have the highest skill.
And with the most time, because you need to be staring at the screen most of the time, right?
Yeah, so that's why typically people do it like the full time, because you can't be like doing something else at the same time. And then the next will be like swing. Right.
I think that would suit me because I have a job, so I'm doing part-time. Is it?
That is what I recommend to most of my students as well, like swing trading, because it is the sweet spot where you can do it with the in between other things, right? You don't have to be there in front of the screen, but maybe once every 4 hours or once a day you can look at it and still take the trade, right? So that is I feel like the sweet spot, right? And because the next one will be like position trading. So for swing trading, typically your position could be like a few days to a few weeks, right? But for position trading, it could be like a few weeks to a few months, right? So position trading, because the way it works is that you don't get many trades, right? But you need a lot of patience to wait for the trades, and then you need to hold those trades, right? So if you are trying to like improve your trading skill, you also won't get that much practice, right? So it's typically done by people who already have a very strong system.
They're seasoned traders already.
They don't say seasoned, or maybe they use like computer trading systems, and then they just let it set it and leave it. So Andrew, now that you have got this new car, right? So typically when if you have a new car, right, how you approach, right, driving this like new and car, because it might be quite different from the other cars that you have driven, right? How will you go about?
Well, this car, again, I'm so grateful to FBS, is the Mercedes CLA 45 S-Matic. Apparently, it's the fastest Mercedes car, so it can drive really fast. But I am not a fast driver, so I want to take care of it, so I will still drive carefully.
Because there are a lot of like new features and stuff on the car, right?
So true.
So if you're not familiar with these features, right? When you typically like try to take it slow, test it on a familiar route, before like going all out to max out the speed.
Yes, for sure. Definitely gonna slowly take my time, test out everything before I take it to the next level.
So I think like it's a bit like trading, right? If you are approaching a new market or a new strategy, you want to take it slow, test it out on familiar markets, before like going all in, right?
Yeah.
Test to make sure, and that is also a bit like back testing, right? When you create a strategy, you want to test it. You back test it, right, on familiar terrain, right, before you actually implement it, right, into your to actually with real money.
Yeah.
Right. So that is I think something that is quite similar.
You use a demo account?
Yeah, you can. That is one way of doing it. Right. So if you're going to test a car, right, or a trading strategy, right, what are some of the signs that you look out for, right, to tell you whether the car is doing well or whether the trading strategy is doing well?
So I think for the car is probably whether when I drive, is there any unusual sound, or how's the responsiveness of my car, how steady the car is. I think like that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, right? Because if you're driving and there's like strange rattling sound from the car, then that will tell you, right? It's kind of like an alert, right? It tells you something is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So same for trading, right? If you are trying out a new strategy and then you see that hey, I'm getting more losing trades, or it's not really performing, right? Then that will be kind of like an early warning. Then you can sort of tweak, right? Or you try to like troubleshoot to find what is the problem, right? So I think that is basically the idea of back testing, right? Because while testing it, and you can see all the problems that come out, and then you slowly fine tune it, right, until you find a strategy that really works for you, right? And once you get that, then you can really go full throttle, right, on the strategy.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that is why like back testing is very important.
Thank you, Spencer, for taking the time to educate us on the technical analysis.
Right. Thanks for having me here.
Hope that, just like me, you all have learned to control your drive, and I'm really excited to go back to use all the technical analysis that Spencer has just shared in the FBS app. Thank you again, and have a nice day.